Good morning. Welcome back and thanks for joining me. It's Judy from Thistledew Creations. And today I'm going to use these printables on photo paper to make this little hidden note jar of strawberry jam. I did one recently with mason jar, and I've also got these strawberry jam ones. So I've got some family members who really like strawberry jam, like strawberries in general, but they really like strawberry jam. And so that's why I've made these. Also, they're just really cute. This one's just needing a little help there. So I'll show you how I made them. We'll make one together, and I think I've got everything ready this time for a change. So I've printed these out 4 to a page on 8.5 by 11 glossy photo paper. And then I fussy cut them out. I've got one already fussy cut with the lid already cut off of it for us. And so what I do, the next step is to glue them down to some brown craft cardstock. So I can use this offcut from the mason jar one. And of course this one is going to be the pocket, so it gets just glued around the edges. I'm going to use my 3-in-1 glue today for this. It's just a little quicker to dry. You don't really need to outline or you can keep your pocket up here. You can put glue there and there just to make that corner a little bit more stable. And just along the edges. And make sure the bottom's glued down well. And then that can go right down onto the craft cardstock. And then the lid, you're tempted to maybe just do it here, but the lid has to be attached to the card that's going to go down in. So you put it beside it and sort of gauge how big it needs to be. I know this one was working, so I can just sort of figure out from this. Yours might be a different size based on however you print them. Even if you have the same printable, you could be printing them at a different scale or something. So I wouldn't go by my measurements. I can tell you this hangs down approximately 2 1/4, but you may need to make it a little shorter or longer. So I can line it up with that. I want to glue this all over. No desire to make this an extra pocket or anything. I'll just line it back up with that line. And then I'm just trimming around the strawberry jar and giving myself a graceful arch at the top here. So I'm going to start up here and just come right down in a nice, easy curve, and then around my leaves. And that gives them all a little bit more sturdiness as well. And if you try to do this with just paper, I would just be worried about things getting floppy and bending over. So I think the cardstock works well for it. And you could do it with black cardstock and white lines or silver lines if you have a white pen or a silver pen, or even a gold pen. I always think silver first for some reason. Or you could do it on white paper and keep it much cleaner and fresher looking with just black lines or red lines even. When I did the strawberry journal for my cousin Diana in Ohio, I found a notepad that had white paper with red lines, and it was really cute for it. So that's done and ready to go. I just would ink vintage photo around the edges on mine to get rid of that whiteness. I had to leave, I didn't have to, but I left a little white space in here between the leaf and the pot because I didn't want that to be a spot that would break off. So I'll just ink it so that it's not so obvious. And ink around the strawberries and all the way around the edges. To me, that just finishes it off really nicely. And then when it's on the cardstock, the craft cardstock, I switch to ground espresso. It just shows up better. What's your favorite color to ink on craft cardstock? Let me know in the comments. So there's that. And then the little note is going to, on this one, I ended up having to trim it. Oh, this is the one up here. I ended up having to trim it to this point and this point. So I would go to here to there, roughly. And I'm just really eyeing it straight up and straight up. And then continue to cut out your shape. And because you've got the two colors, the glossy white and the brown, that's another reason to ink it, in my opinion. Just kind of camouflages that. It's kind of hard to fussy cut through two layers of thick paper like that, but we'll manage it. And then just around these little curves here, which are the paper wrapping or fabric wrapping on top of the jar. You could even like glue the whole thing down and then fussy cut it, but I had already fussy cut these out, so I'm just going around it. There's always more than one way to do something, right? And then that one I had to angle the bottom edges so that it would fit down in there, so I think I'll do that again. Now I don't think I got them 100% even on the last one, so let's just see if we can get that better. So I'm going to cut one, and then flip it over and cut the other side. It should give me a fairly even clipped corners, and then we'll test it to make sure it goes down in. Doesn't get caught up. Yeah, it's a little long. See, it doesn't want to push down all the way. So I'll just come and take a little bit off the bottom here until it fits. And there, that one goes all the way down in. So then I will ink around with the ground espresso on the brown paper. And the vintage photo around the lid. And on that one, I did end up putting the vintage photo sort of all over it too, just to darken it up a little bit, make it look like muslin or something. unbleached muslin. And then to make this one look even a little more realistic or interesting or whatever you would say, I'm going to take my tiny little scissors. I've already got a natural notch here, and I made another notch over on this side right here. And that's so that I can wrap string. So I wrapped the string right around on this one. I have this Celebrate It jute twine, 50 yards, and it was from Irving, Texas, made in China. MSPCI is the company. I don't even know where this came from. I thought maybe it would say Michael's or Dollarama or something on it, but it doesn't. So, and then I'm going to just leave myself quite a tail here and wrap it around about 3 times or so. And I'm just not doing it too tight because I want to pull this down and glue it. So what I did here was, when I got to this point, I tied a knot right in front of the printed knot, printed bow. I'm just tying a knot so that it doesn't come undone. And then I'm doing a little bow. And just kind of control the size of the bow. And then do another knot. That and the fact that we're going to glue on top of it should hold it. You can put a little dab of glue right in the knot too to prevent it from coming undone. Put that in there now, give it a chance to dry. And then I'm going to put a dot of glue in the center and pull that down. A little bit of tension on this little piece, but I think it's pretty sturdy with the photo paper and the cardstock on it. And so that just sort of angles that down the way it does in the picture, instead of going straight across. Makes it look more three-dimensional. And I'll cut this long tail off. Put it in my string jar. And then I'll put my lines on in black. And this is just a Tim Hortons cup wrapper that I'm using as a stencil. And I'll do it on the back as well. We do like our Tims. We even like to craft with it. And then the last little embellishment that I did on this one was these white flowers, because strawberry flowers are white with yellow centers. And I had this, it was like a 3-inch or so strand of a die cut. I think Wanda or somebody sent it to me in Happy Mail. And so what I figured out for this was, because these have the holes cut out in the middle, I glued this 5/8 piece of cardstock behind the big one so that my button has something to stick to. And I use little yellow buttons for the centers of the flowers. And I should be using my darn tweezers. I can't seem to train myself. And then I probably should almost do it on the other one too, because it's not going to have much to stick to. Just sort of fill in the center a little bit so that the button has something to stick to. And before I get too far, I want to lightly ink the edges of these. Just with the vintage photo. Still want them to look like white flowers. Tweezers. Oh, there's hubby. And then because this is going to go up on top of the bow, I didn't want this just flopping in midair. So what I did was I put a little nondescript button underneath it just to space it up instead of like a pop dot or something. Just put that like there. I kind of want those going down. That there. And that's just to give this something to hold it up. So if you have a lot of white buttons and aren't using them, you can use them instead of pop dots. Those little foam things. And that just takes a moment to dry. And then you can put it into your little jar. And voila, you've got yourself a little jam jar. A little strawberry jam jar with a little notepad inside. So I thought that was just adorable. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you like this kind of project, I've got a few more to do from my arm's length crafting on Sunday, and I would love it if you would join me. So like, comment, share, and subscribe. Most of all, have a great day. Happy crafting.